Hey friends, excuse me. Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to this channel. My name is Stacy here at Stacy Makes, and we talk about all things crochet, markets, pattern reviews, yarn, all of those fun things. And this week I have for you a market recap. Finally, you all are thinking, finally, she's got a market. And bad news is it's the last one for a while until my largest market in November, and then I have one in December because the one in October that I rescheduled because the other one got canceled is now not happening. It's happening, but I'm not going. It's my daughter's homecoming weekend, so I just couldn't miss that. So I did a girls' night out here in our local town, and this is the third year that we have done this event, and it's just a Thursday night in our small little community. It's 3 hours from 5 to 8, and we set up inside. I set up. Tara did not do this market with me, so the footage that you see and the sales and everything was all mine. But she couldn't make it because she had work, and I kind of scheduled it last minute. So, but anyway, I set up inside of our old venue. So if you've watched here before, we used to own a venue uptown where we rented it out for things. We used to have an art studio in there. And somebody bought it and is actually using it as a venue. And so we rented a space for girls' night out in there. I did. And it was only $20. And she said that you get at least 8 feet wide, 6 to 8 feet deep. She wasn't exactly sure until she got everybody in there. She'd spread us out as much as she could. There was about 7 or 8 of us inside the building. It's real skinny and long, so we just were down the sides. Actually, might have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there was like 8 of us, I think. Yeah. So there's 4 of us on each side. I had the very end corner, which worked out really great for me because I had the back wall to put my shelving on, and I'll show you this setup here in a second. And so I ended up with about 6 to 7 feet deep and about 12 feet long, really. So that worked out really well since I had so much stuff, but I really was having a hard time figuring out how I was going to lay it out so that I could still sit behind something and take payments and have the stuff where everybody could see it. So I just ended up sitting behind one of my small metal shelves and beside my table, kind of used the side of my table to put my stuff on. And then I just sat where people could get to me between the table and this little shelf that I had, which you'll see that has another little shelf on top of it. Worked out really well. When you see the video, you will see, if you are used to seeing my market recaps, I used to have these stackable wooden bookshelves. And while I loved them, they were aesthetically pleasing. They weren't super deep. They kind of had a bar across the back of them. They stacked and then they folded down. They were super quick to throw up and take down. The hard part is that because I need so many of them, and they do stack on top of each other in the car, but they do take up a lot of space, and they are quite heavy if you are taking them into a market. So I ended up buying some metal 5-tier or 4-tier, I can't remember right now. I want to say it's 5-tier shelves that collapse in. And then you pull them back out, and then you lift the top over, and it latches and it locks into place, and it's all metal. So I bought 2 of those that you'll see in this video, and I actually have 2 more that I didn't take that I'm going to plan to use for Hobnob when we go to Springfield, because we have a double booth there. So I'll have 4 total when I go there. And then I bought a short one that I had planned to use as a checkout stand, but I only had a 4-foot table, and there wasn't a good way to sit behind the 4-foot table and still use some of the retail space on it without just totally blocking myself. So I ended up just pushing it up against the wall and sitting behind the thing and using the side of the 4-foot table. So it's probably not what we'll do on a normal basis, but it worked for this market because of the layout and stuff. So I just preloaded my car, went to work that day, took off just a little bit early so that I could get there to set up and have a good hour before it all started. And I just set up all by myself and tore down all by myself because Tara had to work. I took most of my inventory. I did not bother. All the stuff that you saw in last week's video, I did not take any of that. I hadn't had it priced. I hadn't shown it to you yet. I came back from the retreat on Sunday, and this market was Thursday night. And so I did not have a chance to film any of that and process any of it. So none of that stuff went to the market. So I just took the stuff that was already priced before that. And I took all of my bags because I wasn't really sure how much I was going to be able to get on these metal shelves, because I did not have time to do any kind of mock-up on them or anything like that. So what you're actually here for, though, is how I did. So again, very small market. I take cash and I take square, and I have no idea how much was square versus cash. I did not break that down for you. I usually don't, but I would say it was mostly cash, but it's in kind of a night where, like, if you have daughters or girlfriends and you guys all just kind of get out and you walk down the little strip in our town, and you go to our coffee shop has a special, and our little diner has a special, and the flower shop is open and has a special, and you just kind of work your way around, and you can play bingo on these cards. And if you buy 3 things from the local businesses and get them signed, then you get to put your bingo card in the drawing and win like this big raffle prize. And so a lot of people bring out their little girls, little kids, little boys came too. And so when the little girls would come in, and a lot of them were like friends with each other, and because their moms were friends with each other, and they would like all run around the booth together. It was so cute, and try to decide what they're going to get that matches and so on. And they were all paying with their own money they were given to spend for the night. And it was cute. So I had a few of those where the girls together bought swinging animals, or the girls together bought little floaty friends, or they bought keychains together to match. And so that was cute. So just 3 hours, and it was pretty busy the whole night. I'm going to show you the setup now, and I don't have a ton of footage. I might have a before and after, I don't remember, but I definitely have a before to show you before it happened. So I'll show that footage to you now. So you saw kind of how I was setting up and how I put the metal shelves up against the wall so I could use the back of the wall to kind of keep everything from falling over. Long term, I do have, and I got them in, I haven't had a chance to try them, but I have these, you know, they're like door screens. If you ever had like a door where you can put a screen up in the door where you could go in and out of it without having to keep, like if you don't have a storm door, and it's kind of split down the middle and you can go in and out, and it has magnets and it closes back up. I bought some of those thinking that maybe I could put magnets on them and put them on the back of the shelves and keep the stuff from at least falling off of the back. The side has little grids on it, so I don't think I'm going to worry about that so much. And then things that don't stand up very well, I'm going to put inside of baskets and things like that. So the night started off with a $8 sale of my neighbor as a dachshund lover, which if you know me, I own a dachshund too, and shame on me, I don't have a lot of dachshunds in my inventory. And every time I make one, I sell it. But I had the little dachshund from Pocky's Place, and if I have a picture super handy, I will throw it up. If not, I apologize. That it just takes a lot of time to try to find all the pictures and throw them up. But if you've been watching my channel, I show you everything I make, so you've seen it all before. And my Pinterest board might be a great place to see kind of a lot of what I do have pictures of so far loaded on my Pinterest. But anyway, it was a little mini dachshund from Poggy's Place that I sold for $8. I don't have these in order, but I do know that was the first thing I sold because I sold it before the market started to my neighbor. The rest of the stuff, as I sold small things and multiples, I just did tally marks, so I don't really know exactly what order I sold them in, but the next thing I must have sold had to have been a keychain. But I sold 5 total keychains. I sell my keychains for $6. I know I sold some tumbler keychains. I want to say maybe 2 tumbler keychains, maybe an ice cream. And then I don't remember really past that. I know the octopus, I think I had a little octopus in it sold. But I sold 5 total keychains and I sell them for $6. I also sold 3 swinging animals. These are from Chanel's Crochet. I know the pig, the cow, and I don't remember what, I think I sold the octopus, which the octopus was not from Chanel's, it was all from Jade. But I sold those 3 swinging animals. They sell for $10 a piece. I sold 3 floaty friends. They were right up in the front and I forgot to put a sign on them, but I had 8 of them and I sold 3. This was the first market I have taken these to. I ended up selling them for $10 a piece. At least at this market. I didn't have a sign on them, and these little girls, they had $10 and I sold them for $10 a piece. I think I've talked before about selling them for 15 or 12. Or maybe, you know, but when you take the floaty off, the floaty itself is really pretty small, the animal itself, and it's probably not something I would sell for more than 8, maybe 10 by itself, and then the float around it's just scrap yarn and so fast to make, so I ended up just doing 10, and I sold 3 of those. Sorry if I keep looking over here because my list is kind of behind the camera. I sold my Barry the Bear from Going Crochet-y. So I pattern tested this and I made it in a brown color, and then I also made a patchy version and I sold the brown one for $28. I sold a mallard from Madeline Mayco. I love her little duck pattern. It's Puddles the duck, but I made it in mallard colors. I had 3 of them and I sold 1, and it was the mallard version for $22. I sold a little $8 mouse. This is the free mouse from Cluck and Buzz Crochet that is on her Instagram page. I sold a $10 Junimo. I had 2. I had somebody ask if I had Stardew Valley chickens, and I actually didn't. I had, not the blue ones anyway. I sold them at the last market, the Anime Fest, the ones that I did have. But I'm like, I do have a couple Junimos, which she was like super excited about. And she bought the pink one, I believe. I had a pink and a purple, and for $10. I sold Peek the Puppy, which is a stuffed plushie from Mama Made Minis that I did in Steel Cutouts color from Premier Basics Chenille. And I did like the spots, I think, in the toasted marshmallow. But I didn't do the knotted legs. I just made the legs in the back a little shorter, but didn't knot them. And it was so cute. It was so adorable. It was the first time Peek had made it to a market as well, and he sold. I sold an elephant from Madeline Mayco. So this is one of her original this is her baby elephant pattern, one of her originals. It might be in her archive Etsy. And I sold the one that was like the marbled Burnett sunsetty color for $26. I sold a Myrtle the Turtle in the beach ball multicolored shell with the lime, key lime maybe, Premier Basics chenille body to a little boy that just, he was adorable. I had a little bumblebee that I made for the Share the Love challenge, and it's a free bumblebee pattern, and it's like a little tube, but it has a stinger and a little head, and it kind of goes down and the body goes back out. I don't know if I have a picture of it or not, but it was in my $8 bin, but I rang her up wrong, and I actually ended up only charging her $7 for the bumblebee, which was fine, but so I wrote down 7. I sold my last mermaid from Mom Sacchetti, so I pattern tested her mermaid, which has so many variations: long hair, short hair, curly hair, straight hair, different things you can add onto the mermaid. And I already had sold the long one that had the pink or teal hair, I can't remember which, and I still had the one with the real short curly hair, and I sold her for $45. I sold this cheeseburger. It was Barry the Burger, I think is his name, but I made it just this summer, and I sold it for $18. And this little boy came back later, was so upset because he was working the booth at the very end with his parents selling mixed like flavored drinks and stuff, and he was waiting to get paid for working for his parents for the night to come buy the cheeseburger, because he plays Fortnite and there's a Durr Burger in Fortnite, and he just needed that cheeseburger. And when he came back, it had just like sold like 15 minutes before that, and it was the only cheeseburger I had. And so he ended up actually picking out the hammerhead shark that I had, which was $30, and that's what he bought with his money that he worked for. And then I sold a loaf unicorn from Katie from the Celestial Homebodies unicorn pattern. I only had one, and I sold that as well. And then I wrote down some of the stuff from my $5 bin, but I sold 10 total items from my $5 bin. I sold 1 stingray, 2 frogs. One of them was Mom Stacchetti's baby frog, and one of them was the big booty frog from Travel Crochet. I sold 1 gummy worm, which is the foldable, bendable ones, a little ice cream cone. I sold a little tumbler, 2 chickens, so I had some little bitty mini chickens, white ones, and 1 duck, a little mallard duck, I think, or maybe it was a chick, but it was the yellow chick. So I did write down a few things that I got asked about that I didn't have. Owls, which I have made owls before, and I've had owls, but I always sell them, so I wrote that down. I did get asked about any bigger items with embroidered eyes, and I didn't have very many. So I have that on my list. The Stardew Valley chicken, which I already told you about, and the dachshunds, which our neighbor was not the only one, because she was telling other people that she was showing them her dachshunds she got from me to other people that she knew had dachshunds. And so that's, I'd already was working on my new dachshund pattern that I showed you guys last week when I went to the market, and I told her, I'm like, next time I will definitely have some dachshunds, but I have 4 or 5 different dachshund patterns, and I need to just make a variety of different price ranges and sizes and make sure I take them and have a little doxy section, because I need to represent my girl Dolly, which is my I Love Dolly mug, which is actually a Dolly Parton themed mug from the dollar store, but we're going to pretend that it was made just for my dog. So total, I sold 34 items, if I counted correctly. My booth fee was only $20, and I sold a total of $411, which to me is amazing for not having to go anywhere but my own little town for 3 hours on a Thursday night. I didn't have to set up a tent, didn't have to be out in the weather. I was super happy with that, to get rid of some inventory, because I missed all of my September and October markets so far. So this is the only market I've had. So I will save the rest of my inventory for the market that I do have the first weekend in November, the 7th and 8th, in Springfield, Illinois, the Hobnob Market. I will be there on the ground floor this year in a double booth. So if you're up in that area, come see me. Come by and say hi. I know you do have to pay to get in. They do have an early bird special though, and Friday night I think you can come in as an early bird and get first dibs. There is so many neat like handmade home decor vintage stuff there last year. It is just, it's a neat, it's very, very crowded, but it's a very neat mix and variation of things. They do a very good job curating all the stuff for this market. And it's 2 layers. You can go up and down the stairs, or there is an elevator if you need to go up to the 2nd level, which is where I was last year, but I will be down on the ground floor this year. So I'm super excited about that. Me and Tara are both very much looking forward to that. So I need to remake some of my smaller items for sure, and then maybe some things that are on my list that I got asked about that I wish I would have had more of, but I didn't. And I will be working on that. So in total, I guess after you take away my $20 fee, I made $3.91. Minus also probably some square fees. I do have an after video for you to show what my booth looked like when it was done. As you'll see, most of the impact was on the little metal shelf that sat in front of me, because that's where my keychains, my $5 items, and my floaty friends were. And then the swinging animals were on the other shelf, and then, but there was just one big item here and there that was kind of off of the other shelf, but otherwise most of the stuff came off that little shelf that was right in front of me. It was funny. But I'll go ahead and show you the after video so you can kind of get an idea of what it looked like when the show was over. And thank you to the people who own the venue for allowing me to come. So I actually have an event there tomorrow that I have to run, and which I'll tell you guys about next week. Okay, I think that's all I have, other than I am preparing items for the bakery. So the bakery that got a hold of me that's getting ready to open, their actual opening is in November, but they're going to do a couple pop-up soft opening days throughout October. So as soon as I can get her some items for her shelves, she's going to tag stuff and put them in her store. We decided on 20% flat, no monthly fee, just 20% is what she gets, and then I get the rest. And so she'll just pay me at the end of the month or whatever when she totals everything up. So I have been working on a few baked good type items because I think those might be fun and kind of good to have in there. But then also I want to figure out what other items that I'm going to pull from my regular inventory. And then also my Fancy Pants Friends, the pumpkin, the apple, and the snowman release this last week. Those are released and out now on Etsy. You probably missed the, you missed the release sale. I always have a sale for a few days when I first do a release. Because it released on Wednesday, it went through Saturday. So you missed the released sale, but you can still get it in my shop. If you buy all 3, you'll get 20% off still, because anything in my store is 20% off if you buy 3 items. And I still have a couple mystery safety eye sets also in my Etsy if you guys want to check that out. I think that's all I have for you guys this week. I will be back next week with quite a bit of hopefully quite a bit of stuff to show you, because I have all the stuff I made this week plus whatever I make this next week before I video and show you then. And then I don't have a market for a while, so I'm just going to be trying to push out stuff for the market. Thank you guys for being here. If you have any other recommendations for quick little $5, $8, $10 items that just fly off your shelves every time you have a market that I need to add to my inventory, I would love those down in the comment section, or send me an Instagram link if it's an Instagram free pattern or something. I would appreciate that insight from you guys. And otherwise, I'm going to keep working on some stuff for the bakery and then for the smaller stuff probably, and try to restock before my next market. So thank you for being here. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great week, and happy crocheting, friends. We'll see you. Bye.